President Trump had the opportunity to address minority families whose kids are scared, and he didn't. What'd you think?
Again, it's nothing surprising. President Trump's entire presidency has been based upon racial tropes and really divisive excitement of some of the baser sort of elements of our society in terms of his appeals to racism. He started his campaign going after Mexicans and Muslims. He has sort of coddled white supremacists, and he has taken down policies that actually help for racial equality, from the Department of Education's failure to deal with the school-to-prison pipeline, all the way to Barack Obama and Joe Biden's incredible task force on 21st century policing, which had a whole bunch of recommendations from big city police chiefs and Black Lives Matter folks who came to some accord. So it's very frustrating to watch him stand up there and lie. And I will tell you this, just for a matter of the record, Donald Trump has not done more for Black people than any president since Abraham Lincoln.
Well, then let's talk through what he does talk about in terms of policy. He highlighted what he's done as far as opportunity zones go, funding for historically Black colleges, and prison reform. Does he score any points with African-American voters for those achievements?
Well, I wrote the Opportunity Zone legislation with Tim Scott, and we wrote it under the Obama administration. I really think we would have gotten it done under the Obama administration had Mitch McConnell not blocked the legislation from getting to the floor. So I'm proud of that legislation, but I've seen Donald Trump fail to actually put the kind of guardrails and accountability into it that would really mean something. So I see that he's riffing off a lot of stuff. I helped to author the criminal justice reform bill, again, work that we started under the Obama administration, and proud that we got it done into law. But the damage that this president has done, disproportionately impacting African Americans, something people don't think about, rolling back the Clean Power Plan and methane rules, really affects people's respiratory health. African American kids who have asthma compared to white kids who have asthma are 10 times more likely to die of asthma complications. So from environmental justice to economic justice to criminal justice, he's actually been in totality a failure. But then what's worse is to add really gasoline to that fire of inaction by inciting overtly inciting such bigotry and racism in our country. We know that, hate is up in our country. Hate acts. We know that violence against minorities is up in this country. And we know that the greatest terrorist acts we've seen since 9/11 are not from foreign terrorists. They're from homegrown right-wing extremist groups, the majority of those white supremacist groups, who this president has told these right-wing extremist groups to stand back and stand by. That is absolutely dangerous. And this president has got to go because he is so dehumanizing, dismissive, divisive, and degrading.
Then were you screaming at your TV when the president tried to hit Joe Biden and say, why didn't you do X, Y, or Z in the Obama administration, to the point you just made, because Mitch McConnell was blocking them?
Yeah, I mean, people forget we had an African-American president who had a bold agenda that got stopped by Mitch McConnell, who himself calls himself the Grim Reaper because he takes pride in stopping so much legislation, a lot of it bipartisan legislation, like the Opportunity Zone legislation that I'm really, really proud of. And so this race is about a lot of things. Joe Biden has to win the White House, but God, with all these competitive Senate races, from South Carolina to Iowa to Maine to Texas and Alaska, we have got to win these races to make sure that Mitch McConnell is in the minority so that we can get bipartisan work done again in the Senate.
President Trump again attacking Joe Biden last night for the crime bill, much of which he's apologized for. Does that argument work with voters, or have they heard Joe Biden's pretty clear apology at this point?
It doesn't work for me. I don't know if you remember this. I ran for president last year and had a chance to have a lot of dialogues and engagement with him over past crime bills. I think I might have been one of the ones that was most pointed in my commentary about it. Let me tell you something about Joe Biden. He recognizes that the urgency of his administration is to do a lot of great work that he began doing when he was vice president of the United States. He was working in partnership with Barack Obama on everything from policing, I mentioned the 21st Century Task Force, to real substantive work on criminal justice reform, including ordering their Justice Department no longer to pursue in drug cases the highest possible charges and sentencing. That all was reversed under the Justice Department of this president, who has gone back, starting with Jeff Sessions, to prosecuting the drug war in a way that most of Americans think we shouldn't do anymore. So it's not that what Joe Biden is saying he's going to do, it's what Joe Biden has already done.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.